we've got 10 pretty much certain detections of dwarf planets that are out there. And so, it's pretty exciting stuff. What we're doing is we're building a camera to scan the sky in order to look for things that move, but more often things that explode or change, because we're interested in the physics of those events. So the way this happens is that we digitize the sky over and over as fast as we can, and then we take these reference images that we make and align the new images accurately to the reference images, do all sorts of compensation for changes in the sky background, because we're looking at different angles through the atmosphere, and there's different sky brightness or different moon positions and so forth. We have to correct for the fact that the atmospheric scene, that's the blurring that's created by the atmosphere, is changing, and then we subtract the images and we look to see what the differences look like. It turns out that we get thousands of events every night, so there's a machine learning algorithm that has figured out how to classify these events, weed out bad guys. This is a bad subtraction over here where there are residuals that are not real. This is a good one. This is a supernova that's been found. If you compare those two images and take the difference, you find this little dot there. And of course, sometimes you get asteroids. This one was particularly interesting because it passed within a quarter of a distance of the moon to the Earth. That was a close one. If we find one of those, we can't do anything about it, so don't worry. So anyway, it takes quite a bit of computing power and software, and so our current project is investing about $5 million in computing and people to develop these programs, and ultimately the kind of products that we produce are things like these light curves, which show the intensity plots versus time in different colours for different kinds of supernovae, but quite often, even more importantly, is to detect them early, because the spectra are what tell us about the physics of these events, and these spectra change over time. If you read the legend here, you'll find, it's 15 hours, 3 days, 6 days, and all of these emission features are going away as the shockwave propagates through the atmosphere surrounding the star. So we've been at this for a while, in a sort of prototypical way, and a lot of these dots here are interesting things that have been found in different parts of this phase space diagram, where they're plotting peak luminosity of a supernova versus the time scale of the decay curve. And there's a big hole here with nothing in it that we can't get to because our camera is not big enough. Because to find a rare event which goes away quickly, you just have to scoop up a lot of sky really quickly. You've got to just zoom through and do the comparison on the time scale of the events or faster. So this is the relative scale of major astronomical cameras that are either in use or being built. Our current camera is over here. This is done in, this diagram is in units of arc seconds, not millimeters or pixels. All these different telescopes have different focal lengths. But one of the things that I thought that I'd point out is the cost. This guy here, we bought the CC mosaic from the Canada, France, Hawaii telescope second-hand for $250,000, and we put it on our telescope and did tons of science. That one there is on the 4-metre Blanco telescope in Cerro Tololo, where I used to work. It was built by the Fermi Lab with the Department of Energy money. That cost $35 million. This one here is on the Subaru 8-metre telescope in Hawaii, and we don't have a price for that, but I could bet you it was pretty damned expensive. This one over here is the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope, which is in development and will be on sky in about 2022 or 23. Phenomenal project, 6.5-metre mirror, 4-second telescope slew time. They have to charge up a capacitor bank from the power grid, and they fire the capacitors into the motors, and they can't move the telescope any faster than once every 15 seconds, because they don't have enough power in the grid to recharge the capacitors. Yeah, it's like an amusement ride at Disneyland. Anyway, that's a $1 billion project. Their camera is costing $150 million, and my technical problem was to figure out how to build this one here for 12, for 13. And so one of the first things we did was we had a smaller team than they have, which saved us a lot of money. We have a course of plate scale, we read out faster, there's a whole list of ways we've optimized. So what do we think we might find? Well, all of the things that go bang in the night, there's things that move around the solar system, there's mass accretion systems around binary stars, novae, supernovae, but there's also more interesting stuff like stars that are ripped to bits by black holes. And one of the very interesting things at the moment is looking for the optical emission that's the counterpart to gravity wave events. Caltech and MIT collaborated for 30 years to detect this, and they got the first detections in 2015 of the oscillatory distortions of space-time created by ripples propagating from two coalescing black holes, which you would see if they weren't so black, orbiting around each other and coalesced. Now, why do we know they're black holes, or how do we know that? Only because the shape of this oscillation matches the theoretical predictions that were made in advance of that detection. So, in fact, the data matched what we actually saw. These two graphs actually overlay on one another, and there's two of these Michelson interferometers, one in Louisiana and one in Washington State, and they both got the same signal with the speed of light time delay between them. And that time delay enables you to produce an error box for where the event might have been on the sky. Now, you notice this error box is huge, so what you need is a really big camera that can scan along one of those bands fast enough to catch the event before it decays. So that's one of the things we're on about. All right, so that's the astronomy intro. Now let's talk about some engineering. How are we doing? 20 minutes. Okay, we're good. This is our telescope. First thing we did was we turned it into a 3D CAD model. That drawing, that watercolor I showed you earlier, now is a detailed scale model. And our biggest improvement in this is to put the CCD camera, which is this box here in the middle, at the prime focus. The challenge here, of course, is we're trying to put a very large focal plane. It's about 450 millimeters on a side, this enclosure. To put that focal plane in a telescope beam that's 1.2 meters across. Now, if we made the instrument any bigger, we'd obstruct the light. And so the whole exercise is a challenge in tight packaging. The LSST camera that I showed you a minute ago, it is the diameter of our telescope and half the length. So it's this big, and our camera is that big. So it's essentially the same technology. In terms of area, our square fits within their circle. It's sort of inscribed. The key technological piece are the charge-coupled devices. And so I'm going to talk about those just for a minute. These are sheets of silicon that are used that do all of the optical light sensing. They have a quantum efficiency of near unity. They're almost perfect sensors. We put them together, they're packaged in a way which allows them to be close-butted so that we have minimal gaps between the sensors. And in this case, not apparent in this picture yet, is that this focal plane is in fact spherical with a 7-meter radius of curvature, and the CCDs are actually tiled on the chords of that sphere, and there are plano-convex field flattening lenses that are mounted to the CCD package. I don't know if you can see this. I'll pass these around with these little frames. Just screw into the sides of the package and just clamp the glass holding it at the corners. They're quite spindly, and they'd be quite hard to machine or expensive, and we've got a lot of them. But we got them dirt cheap. They're made out of titanium, and they're 3D printed. And 3D printing, I'll just pass these around, 3D printing just came along at absolutely the right moment for us. It turns out that we're using 3D printed parts throughout the instrument to make all sorts of tricky fiddly things. I'm going to pass around this mechanical sample of the CCD. This is a pretty big device. That's 126,000 bucks. Not that one. That one was a freebie. I'm not giving you the $126,000 one. They're all in the instrument. But I'd just like to point out that that's competing with my cell phone, right? So that's a typical sensor that you work with. And this guy's big. Now, of course, the key here is that we have to match our sampling to the PSF. And so we need big pixels because with our longer focal length, our PSF is, well, we don't have fantastic images on this. We've got a 1 arc second per pixel resolution, which happens to be 9 per sample, because we think that with our total delivered image quality budget, we'll get about 2 arc seconds. So maybe I should go around the room the other way next time. So there's a big CCD for you to look at. And I've got other CCDs. This is a previous technology that I worked at the National Observatories, where the tiles were considerably smaller. What you can see is how fantastically black they are, because they have... There's been an array of those tiles, these mosaic. Now, does anybody, if you had a laser, you could shine the laser at it and see that you get no reflection from that, because you're looking at the back surface of the CCD. But actually, I've got a silicon wafer here that I'll also pass around. This has got the electrodes exposed on the front surface, and so we can have fun by shooting. I'll just get in front of the projector here. There we go. So there we go. It's a nice diffraction grating, isn't it? So this is the two-dimensional electrode structure on the CCD that's throwing this nice diffraction pattern up here. And we'll explain in a moment how the patterning of this pattern on this device actually leads to its charge transport properties. If you want to play, should be working. It's not bright enough. Anyway, I went for most of my career with never touching a piece of silicon, which was really disappointing since I was an electronics engineer. And so I thought I'd hand these around so you can actually handle some silicon and have a look at some real CCD wafers. And if anybody wants to play with the laser later, they can. That'd be fun. All right, so charge a couple of devices. These have revolutionised astronomy. What astronomers want to do is to measure all of their targets in terms of intensity, position, spectral content, relative brightness, variation of brightness over time, all of these things. And if you're an engineer, the list looks like this, where you want all this good stuff on the left and less of the bad stuff on the right. And I could spend days talking about all these things. Now, I have a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to get into all of the ins and outs of what all the calibration issues are. But what I do want to say is these devices are very stable. They're very well behaved, but the most important thing is they're extremely stable, and because you read them out without harming the device, like it's not like on a photographic emulsion where you use it up, you expose it, you develop it once. You can actually calibrate the actual sensor, and so you can do astronomy at high precision. And this is what's transformed astronomy from a very approximate science to a very exact one. These guys, Smith and Boyle, no relation, worked at Bell Labs, and they were just amazing. They understood all the semiconductor physics, and much of what's in the textbooks today was in their original description of the devices back in 1969. Quite incredible. This is actually a picture of the first test device that they made, which had very, very large pixels. And in fact, if you're me, you can see the pixels. Every group of 3 of these little electrodes would have been 1 pixel. They were not really setting out to make an imaging device. They were setting out to make a replacement for magnetic storage for disk drives. they were trying to make a memory device where you could put data in at one end and clock it through the device and read it and have it go round and round in a loop. And in fact, the charge restoration thing where it went round the loop and needed to be re-injected was in fact the mechanism that led to the invention of the electron multiplication CCD.